You're listening to the Next Level Sports Podcast, episode number 11, featuring Jacqui Reynolds from the Naugatuck Hackers. And today we're going to be talking about her life in baseball. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Next Level Sports Podcast. Take your game to the next level today by learning mental skills from top-level coaches and professionals.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. And this is a show that I have had circled on my calendar for a long time. Finally able to get Jacqui Reynolds on the show. And Jacqui is a woman baseball player playing in an all-men's baseball league. And she coaches high school baseball. I've been waiting to get her on just to hear the journey. We're going to talk a little bit about the struggle she had finding places to play, that feeling of stepping on the field for the first time, and then even getting new opportunities to actually play the sport which she loves the most. I think you're all going to love her. It's a great podcast, such an interesting and inspiring story. And if you know any girls out there or women out there that want to play baseball, please share this episode. And please let them know some of the options that are available to them, that they can follow their dreams and play baseball. Let's get right into it. My interview with Jacqui Reynolds. When did this whole baseball journey start for you?
So the baseball journey started when I went to the Red Sox women's fantasy camp. I didn't realize that women played baseball. It just was kind of like a dream that I always had and always kind of grew up with. Yeah, they don't play, or no, they play softball. So I always kind of grew up in that kind of frame of what people thought. Like I wasn't allowed to play when I was younger, and I was outside with all the guys from my neighborhood. Well, really not guys, really kids. And we always grew up with playing any type of sport outside in the backyard. Like we played football, we played basketball, we threw a baseball around, we created our own game with a tennis ball racket and a tennis ball, and kind of played home run derby like that. We blocked off like the streets and everything at one point and tried playing. And I grew up with my brother who played baseball. He's done now because, he grew up and stuff, but me and him always in the backyard playing. And we used the bushes as an outfield wall, and we would try robbing home runs. We would throw the baseball across, the opposite side of the yard and just like, all right, make a diving play. I am thankful that we did that when we were younger, because now, getting those opportunities for a fly ball to come at you and stuff and diving for a play, I'm not that I'm scared to do it, but like I'm used to it. So, it just comes naturally to me. Whether if I didn't have that opportunity when I was younger and a ball was like that, I would probably be hesitant to dive, whether it would be the ground hurts and I would get injured, or just not having the confidence to make that play. So with the women's fantasy camp, it was like my first opportunity to be with all women playing baseball. And that was my first baseball experience, since I was never on a team before. And I loved every single minute of it. It's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, all right, I'm on the field and I'm playing type of thing. And to be at JetBlue for your first baseball game ever, that was kind of cool. It also had its, drawbacks, where that's the first field that you played on. You're expecting every field to be like that, which it obviously does not happen. I mean, there's no bad hops at that field. And then you go to your local high school and you throw the ball around and bad hops everywhere. So it's definitely a change of pace of, playing on that high level field and going to a different field. But Yeah, I love the fantasy camp. I go every year. My teammates are always amazing. Just the people that are involved in it, they're all baseball fans, whether they know how to play or not. And it's amazing to see all the girls improving year after year. There's some people that come into the camp who can't even throw a baseball, and now they're throwing it across the diamond. So it's a really big thing just for everybody involved to see that, that all those people improving. Like, you would never think in a million years that they're playing baseball and they're doing it successfully. And, they're living out their dreams as well. So it's not just me that's living out my dream as well. It's more of a community, I want to say, just of people who love baseball. And it's just great to be around in that environment that, I grew up wanting to play baseball, never really got the opportunity when I was younger. And they kind of, some of them are a lot older than I am. And, they had the same thing growing up. They weren't allowed to play. They always wanted to play. And now they're getting the chance, where I'm thankful that I kind of got into it at the age that I'm at, where I can go and play in these teams. Like, I met, one of the coaches who was down there, Marty. She plays on Team USA. And she was invited as a woman coach for the Red Sox fantasy camp. And she was like, hey, there's this team. I'll talk to, the coach and see if I can get you on it. And she got me on it, and, it took off from there. I've been on that team ever since my first tournament. I haven't missed a tournament. And, I look forward to those tournaments every year. We play 2 tournaments a year. We play at JetBlue Park, which is new in the Roy Hobbs tournament. We used to play at Dodgertown and Vero Beach. And then we play one which used to be in Baltimore, but now it's in Virginia Beach. I mean, not Virginia Beach. It's now in Virginia. And, it's cool to be able to travel and play. The opportunities with playing and stuff, like most people who play, they play on a team and they, go to the town next door, or, 30 minutes at the max. Well, I'm traveling to Florida, I'm traveling to Virginia, I've traveled to Maryland, and I'm traveling to all these different places to play. And it's very cool in that aspect that I get to see a lot of places. And for someone that does not like flying, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm going to play baseball. If I was just going there to visit this place, I would be a little bit more nervous flying, but I'm doing pretty okay with the whole flying thing when there's baseball involved, because I have that, there's baseball. On the way home, it's a little bit less. It's a lot of nerves going back.
And you mentioned growing up, you were around several different sports. What was kind of that thing that drew you to baseball the most?
I just fell in love with the game. I mean, my first baseball game was probably at the worst stadium possible, which was at the Trop down in Tampa, Florida. And if you can go to a game there and fall in love with baseball, I think it's just the sport. It's not, it's the atmosphere of being at the game, watching the game, seeing how those players work, just falling in love with the game, which is something that it just came kind of naturally to me. I mean, ever since then, I was always, that kid who would always talk about baseball. I think in 7th grade, I had, if not all of the team's jerseys, like the shirt jerseys, I probably had around like at least the starting 9. Some of the pitchers and stuff. I think I went through a whole month without not wearing a Red Sox jersey at one point. It was just that thing that kind of, stuck to me.
And you mentioned that when you were growing up that there wasn't too many opportunities. When did some opportunities start coming for you that you could actually play the game other than the fantasy camp?
So, I mean, I played with the neighborhood kids were always throwing around the ball and stuff. And, and I noticed that I could definitely keep up with them, and that kind of was like, oh, okay. I definitely could play this game. I don't know why I can't play. And then I kind of I boycotted softball for like the longest time. I played 1 year Little League and hated it. I think I sat in the outfield and picked grass as like a protest at one point. I just didn't like it. And it's a completely different sport than baseball. And then, you know, when I went to high school, I became really good friends kind of with the gym teacher. I was that student that would always talk to my teachers and like not be like really assholes to them. And I would talk and ask how their day went. And like, I was just that really nice kid who just, you know, connected with my teachers a bit. And, you know, she was like, you have to try out for the softball team. And I was like, I don't want to play softball. Like, that's just not what I want to do. And, you know, there was a point where she was like, we need players to have a freshman team. And I was just like, I really don't want to play. And she was like, can you please play? And I was just like, yeah, sure. You know what? I'll do you a favor and I'll play. And then I ended up playing that season, and it kind of just took off from there. The varsity coach was looking at me to go on to varsity for my sophomore year. And I had already told them, like, I only was playing 1 year. It's just like, I told you I was only doing it as a favor. I don't want to play. And like around tryouts time, I kept on being contacted and was like, are you playing? And I kept on saying no. And then the day of tryouts, with all the pressure I had, I was like, fine, I'll play. And I ended up playing, and and I'm glad I did. It led to a lot of opportunities that I had. I played, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, and we had really good runs. We made the playoffs every year that I was there. A great group of girls that I still have friendships with today. And without softball, I don't think I would have had those friendships, and I would have been my life would be really different right now if I didn't have those friendships. So I'm glad that I do have those friendships. And like I said, like it did take off for me. I tried playing in college, and unfortunately I tore my ACL my freshman year. So I was done with softball after that. And, that led to new things too. Me tearing my ACL in college led to me graduating early because I didn't want to be at the school anymore. A lot of my friends were in the 3-year program to begin with. So I was like, well, I don't want to be here all 4 years too. I really went to the school for my majors. They had both my majors, and, the whole, oh, I'm done with softball thing was fine. And when I look back at it now, I'm like, all right, well, if I didn't tear my ACL, I might not be playing baseball today. Because the only reason why I got to go to that Red Sox fantasy camp was because I graduated in December and not May or April, whenever graduation would have been for that year. So I wouldn't have been able to go to that fantasy camp because I still would have been in school. So if I look at it that way, tearing my ACL was a blessing in disguise. I just didn't know it until it took a couple years later when I realized that, hey, my first opportunity to play baseball wouldn't have happened if I just continued to play softball in college.
And when you went through finally having some opportunities to play baseball through the fantasy camp, was there any local teams that you're able to join in on, or did you have to find all women's baseball teams to play on?
So yes, the all women's team, which is called the New England Red Sox, that's the team that I'm on that travels, and they've had one game in New England area, and I just happened to be on the team at that point. We had a game in near the Cape against another team that came in from they're called the East Coast Yankees. So they came in, and we played one game. We played it at Collegiate League's field. I forget the name of the field, but we played there. We played one game, and then everyone just kind of went home afterwards. And a lot of the New England Red Sox team is not from here, so flying in people for one game didn't make sense for all the people on the West Coast. So it was a different group of people that we used. A couple of fantasy campers got the chance to play in that game as well. And, other people got opportunities as well. So, not having the normal team and playing against a team that we do face normally, that was kind of cool in a sense. Because you just, a lot of the teams that we do face are the same faces, same teams. There's not many new faces, new teams. The last tournament we had 10 teams, and that was the most I've seen at a tournament. The tournament before we had like 5 teams. So, it is growing, and that's great for baseball, especially for women's baseball. And, the guys' teams and stuff, like the Hackers team, I'm very grateful that they invited us to come play. It's a little far. The drives are a lot far, but it's worth it to go play some baseball. I'm trying to find teams up here. But I'm happy I did find a team that's not around here.
You're traveling here. Over 1 or 2 states just to get there for a doubleheader, right?
Yeah, Beth comes down from New Hampshire and I come from Mass. So Beth has a little bit longer drive than I do. She has to cut through Massachusetts. I just have to go from Massachusetts right to Connecticut. So it is kind of far in Connecticut. So, it does take us like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on traffic. If we hit it, we definitely hit it on the way home. We hit all the Hartford traffic and, that stuff. It's sitting, what else am I going to do on a Sunday? I mean, I'm just going to be sitting at home doing nothing, or, I'm coaching when I'm not playing. So, if I'm not coaching, I'm just going to be sitting, just watching TV and stuff. And I would rather be playing.
With playing on the Hackers, do you think that actually getting some experience in a league that's typically all men could be something that the next time around next year, you can go around like, look, I've already played in men's league, so that could open up some more local opportunities for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that it does happen like that. I know there's a couple leagues over here. Some of them are like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday leagues, or I'm not sure if there's a bunch of Sunday leagues, but I know there is leagues out here, and I do want to play in those leagues, but at the same time, like, I'm also very busy, and just the Sundays worked out for me a little bit. So I need to make sure that, work does come first. Unfortunately, I am an adult, and, it stinks, but, jobs do come first, and I need to make money. But if, that's what my money's going to, it's going to baseball. So at the same point, it's all right, I'll work and play.
Well, I mean, you got to fill up your gas tank every Sunday just to go play baseball. So you got to work to make that back.
Yeah, I do.
And you mentioned coaching. You coach baseball as well, correct?
Yeah, I coach baseball.
And what teams do you coach for?
So I coach this past spring, I coached for the Newton South Lions. I was with mostly the varsity squad. In case like a coach couldn't make it or something, I filled in for them as well. And it was, it was a fun experience. This is my first year coaching high school baseball after coaching high school softball for the last 4 years, I think. So, it was a different pace of speed for me. I also, I was coaching in Woburn for softball, and, that's my hometown. And now I'm driving, 30 to an hour to go coach for the high school team that I was at. So, I mean, lots of driving coming my way from this spring and the summer. But, it's worth it because, coaching baseball, it is a lot different than coaching softball. And I like, the strategic side in baseball. And, the running game is a lot different than it is in softball. And, being with those kids for, 2 months was a lot different for me. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know most of the coaches until I met them. Whereas in Woburn, I was not that I wasn't known, but like I knew a lot like a lot of them were families that are really not famous, but like well known in Woburn. And I was like, oh, yep, I know exactly who you are. And you hear about them. And, because everyone talks in the towns, like, oh, get ready for this kid to come up, get ready for this kid, watch out, this kid's coming. And it's like, all right, I already know so much about you, and I know exactly how to coach you. Whereas when I went to Newton, I didn't know any of the kids. I met them the first day of tryouts, and it was going to be, all right, let's see how this goes. And, the first day of tryouts, I saw some looks, and I was like, all right, well, those looks are going to change eventually. And it was just like, all right, let's show them. Let's show them what I can do and show them what they can learn. And that was my goal, was kind of to make sure that these kids get better. And, some kids did. And, that's what I took out of it. I mean, I think we won like 7 or 8 games out of the 20, but it was a huge difference from the last year. Apparently they got mercy ruled a lot. They won games by little margins, and this year they mercied a team who was in the tournament, and they didn't get mercied at all. So it's a huge improvement year. It doesn't show that on the record, but it was a huge improvement year for them. And, we had a lot of kids who did make like the all-star for their league, which was nice.
Yeah. Now, when you go into coaching baseball, do you prefer like the in-game coaching, the one-on-one practice time where you're teaching kids? What do you kind of prefer?
So it all depends. I'm kind of that laid-back coach who, wants the kids to learn, but I also want them to do it in a fun way where they're not bored at practices per se. Like, you got to keep it interesting. A lot of kids nowadays don't really have that attention span. And growing up, I was that kid who didn't have that attention span. So I know exactly how it feels. And baseball was that one thing that the only thing I kept my eyes on. So it's kind of, hard in this day and age. They all want to go home and play video games. Whereas when kids were younger, like when I was growing up, we didn't really have video games as much when we were growing up. All we did was go outside and practice, and now you're seeing the change. And it's like, oh, why do I have to go practice outside of my own? And that's the things that kind of bug me a little bit about coaching. And that kid that will tell me that, hey, I'm going to go home and work on this. I'm like, all right, let's work. And it's the kids that are like, don't want to do anything at practice, where it's, all right, well, we're not going to do as much fun things maybe. It all depends on, what kids are there and kind of how they're doing. And, coaching aspect is, I want to make sure the kids are getting better. That's what they're there for. They're not there at this level to just go and play and have fun. They're going there to get better, to win games. And it's kind of cool to see, how the kids react to certain things. There is, kids do get mad. You see that side. I kind of like the mental side of the game. I kind of do a little bit of, in my practices, kind of the mental side of it, where I'm putting them through a lot of head stuff, where when it comes to the game, they won't be as stressed. Like if they make a bad play and stuff, they're like, all right, let's get the next one. It's not, oh crap, the ball's going to come to me, it's going to find me, and I'm going to make another error. I want to make sure that their headspace is good during the games. And that's, at this level, that is the biggest thing that, we can do for them.
Okay, cool. What are some of the type of mental things that you would typically do?
So we put pressure on the kids. That was like one of the big things that I incorporated when I went to Newton South. We have kids taking ground balls with other kids yelling at them, and just creating a lot of noise so basically trying to throw them off. There's a a lot of videos out there of the head, shoulders, knees, toes, and then grab the ball game. So, you know, you're yelling out like head, shoulders, head, knees, and they're going to that spot. They're touching their knees, touching their toes, and they have to leave it there. And, you know, I'm going to randomly shout out the ball, and the ball's in between them, and they're going to go grab the ball. And what we did with that was, once you were out, you got to be as annoying as possible to try to get your teammate to basically screw up and get out because he screwed up. So, I mean, that was a big hit. It was like, they, I think, were the loudest during that game than I've ever seen any team. Like, during the games, they weren't as loud, and I was like, all right, be as loud as that game. And then they take off, and they're like, all right, I know you can be louder than this. And they would be like, yeah, we can. I'd be like, all right, show me. So, like, you know, there's stuff like that just helps a mental game. Just knowing that if they can get through that, fielding a ground ball with someone in your ear literally screaming at you, just random stuff, that you're going to be able to do it in a game when maybe not as many people are screaming at you.
Yeah, absolutely. When you play the game, what's kind of like your competitive edge when you play?
I just want to win. I think that's the biggest thing for me is I'm trying to do my best to make the team win, whether it's, you know, hitting the person over that's on second to third with 0 outs, to make sure that, you know, with 1 out, they're on third. Whether it's same thing in the field, like if I know that there's a play that needs to be made, you know, that's my first thing going to it. I'm not going to try and, you know, make that the best play possible just because it's there. No, I'm trying to get the out so we can continue the game. If I can get a double play out of something instead of 1 out, that's where it's going to be. If I can make that diving play that's going to end the ball game, that's fine. But it's not what I can do, it's what I can do for the team per se. I just want, you know, I'm really that team player. I just want to win. I don't care really what I did. I mean, it's cool to look at and stuff. Like, it does give you like a reference of how you did. But that's, you know, that's not the whole thing. Like, you could go for 3 in a game and maybe 3 of your at bats you had RBIs and they were all, you know, ground outs to second base, but you got the run scored. Like, that doesn't matter to me, as long as we're winning and as long as we're scoring runs. Yeah.
What has been either the biggest challenge or frustration that you've had to face?
For me, it is, for coaching and playing, it's more, what are other people going to think? On the coaching side, you know, I've had a couple things where, not that they didn't want to play, but kind of sort of like they gave me like crap about it and they didn't want to face the team because I was there. Or that's what I was most worried about, you know, playing into a men's league, was how are they going to react? You know, are they going to welcome me with arms, or are they going to kind of brush me to the side and not let me play, but kind of, you know, not be offended, but just not like me being there. And that was kind of the hardest thing, because I've seen it in little leagues and stuff where there's male coaches in a little league game telling their pitcher to throw at the girl so she's not playing anymore. And, you know, in the back of your mind, that's there. And it's, all right, are these guys going to try to, you know, make me not play anymore? And good luck with that, because that's not happening. I've gotten hit this year and it doesn't bother me. And it definitely wasn't on purpose, but like, even if it was, which it wasn't, it's not going to stop me from playing. I just ran to first base. Like, it's whatever, it happens in the game. And, you know, it's just something that I don't really care about. I get to play. That's all I care about. I don't care what anybody else thinks, kind of, and it's not going to get to me.
And how has been playing in that all men's league been going so far for you?
So it's been going good. I like the guys on the team. They did welcome me with open arms, and it's been awesome. It's going into it, I was a little hesitant, just because I didn't know anybody. We had that game in Mass versus the Hackers last year with the fantasy camp team, and met some of the guys, and a lot of those guys didn't come back. Going in, I was like, Mike was saying that, it's like a whole new team, but they're great guys and everything. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'm still in. So I was kind of like, all right, I don't really know. I knew, I think 3 returners maybe. And I was just like, all right, cool. And then me and Beth were talking about it. And when she was in, I was like, all right, I'm in. And that's kind of how it went. And I'm glad that I did.
Yeah. So the team welcomed you with open arms. How about the other teams in the league?
So, yeah, I've had the first game that I was there, I forget what team it was, but as soon as the guy, I got a hit off him. And the next game, he got a hit and was on first base, and he looked at me and goes, nice hit last game. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And the same thing when I got to first base. The first baseman, high-fived me and was like, awesome. And I'm like, thank you. So, it's been cool to see what other teams have been doing. I've gotten a lot of it too. They just coming up and saying, hey, great job, or great play, or it's very welcoming, which is very nice.
And that, wasn't always the case for women that want to go to play in a men's league. I think from Beth's experience, there's more opportunities now for women that are younger, but that wasn't something that was a commonplace for you.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been more opportunities for younger girls. They have the Breakthrough Series. They invited the Grit Series this year. They have the Trailblazer Series. And a lot of those girls from, 11 to 18 are getting those opportunities to go out there and play. I wish I had those opportunities growing up. And not that it would have kept me in the game, because I'm still in it, but growing up, I probably would have had a different experience in baseball. When you're 12 and 11, when you do reach that point where everyone's telling you to go to softball, and you're looking around and there's other girls playing all around, and you're like, all right, well, all these girls are still playing. Why do I have to switch? I wish I had kind of that, because I would have, fought more to play when I was younger.
Who was kind of your favorite player growing up that you looked up to?
I have a few.
Okay.
So one of my favorite players really growing up was Evan Longoria. He played on the Rays, and that's kind of who my first team was. When I was in 5th grade, that's when I went to my first game, and it was at the Rays Stadium. So, I was like, oh, this is the team I'm going to root for. And just being in Boston, that kind of didn't really work out as well. And then I became a Red Sox fan. And I still like the Rays. When I go to the games, I'm still I'm like, oh, this is a win-win for me. I don't really care who wins as long as somebody does. And both can't lose. So I have that win-win. I have him. I have, on the Red Sox, I had John Lester was my guy. I love watching him pitch. He was just that person that I was always ready to watch. And I tried to not having favorites on the Red Sox because, I like the team. I didn't want to pick out favorites. And he was the one that always stood out to me. Even now, if you ask me who my favorite player is, they're probably not on the Red Sox, just because that's just my team. It's not, I don't want to root for just one person. I'm rooting for the whole team.
When you get to the baseball field and they say you can play anywhere you want, what's the position that you're going to first?
Depends on how my arm feels that day. I like pitching. You're in charge. Anything that you do, you're in every play. I like the middle infield as well. I just feel closer, to the batter and stuff. And, you could get a ball at any minute, where in the outfield, you're just kind of all right, when's the ball going to get hit to me? So definitely the first place I would go is the mound. Just for that reason. I mean, you have to throw a pitch every single time for there to be a play. So you can have complete control whether you're on or off on the mound. Hopefully you're on, but there is days when you have off days, and maybe then I'll go in the middle infield if that's the case.
And you're ambidextrous too. Do you take that onto the mound with you?
I have not yet. I wanted to kind of focus on the right side just because, that's what I throw with. That's where I normally am using. I mean, you're not going to be a lefty infielder, so unless I'm playing first base, and I am not tall whatsoever. So, keeping my right arm is a good thing. I throw BP with both arms. We put, depending on how many kids there are, if there's a lot of kids and not a lot of coaches, I'll put the L screen in the middle of two cages, and I'll throw one to the kid in the right cage with my right arm, one in the cage to the left with my left arm, and I'll just flip-flop back and forth. And it makes the time go by a lot quicker because, after you hit, you need to ready yourself up again. And then by the time I throw it to the other kid and I come back, that kid's ready. So it just goes very quick, and you get, a round of 8 per cage in very quickly. And you got 2 guys going. So, you get all your guys in. And the lefty side, I do good at it. So, I mean, the kids are hitting it. I'm not throwing it. I'm not hitting them. So, it's beneficial for them. It's beneficial for us. It's less wear on my arm. A lot of times when I have lessons and stuff, I will throw lefty just to save my right arm.
Baseball really does seem like that one thing that you take with you wherever you go, right? You're always having a ball on you or doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I keep my glove in my car at all times. I don't think I've gone, I brought it to school a couple times because it was in my backpack. And first thing I'm doing there's nothing to do, I'm playing with it, or I have baseballs in my backpack at all times. I think there might be a baseball right now under my pillow. I just have never took it out.
For the baseball fairy, or?
I have no idea. I don't know why I put it there to begin with. I probably was, rearranging the baseballs in my room and forgot one, and it landed under my pillow, and it's been there ever since. And I don't know why I never taken it out. I don't know.
If you're playing while the ball stays there.
Oh, the balls always stay there, so I don't know.
What has been the most fun thing that you've done so far in baseball?
I would have to say it's playing before a minor league game at George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. We played against the East Coast Yankees, and fans got to come in early for our game and stayed for the minor league game. And it was a very, very hot day. But it was very cool to, go to the facility, see how even the minor league guys do it, and play right before they played. Some of their fans who came in early, probably for batting practice, got to see us play instead.
Cool.
And that was fun, even though it was the Yankee spring training facility.
There's a little bit of a conflict of interest there.
Yeah, I mean, if it was before one of the Red Sox spring training games or something like that, that probably would top it. But yeah, I mean, it was still great, the opportunity to even be able to do that. We did it for the anniversary of the All Professional Girls Baseball League. And our team got picked to do it. So, we had, great people from each team, playing that game. And it was just great to see that there was actually people coming to watch us. Yeah.
And you mentioned the anniversary there. Were you a big fan of A League of Their Own?
Yeah, I love that movie. I probably can say a lot of words from that movie just by heart. Yeah, it's a great movie, and I think that's the only time growing up that I saw women play baseball. And that movie kind of was maybe one of the reasons why I did want to play baseball. I'm not sure because, younger me might think differently than older me. But yeah, I think that, that movie did have a lot of play into why a lot of girls love baseball. And, that was shown during the fantasy camp. And, what they did, and having some of those girls, well, they're not really girls anymore, but the older woman who did play in those games be at the fantasy camp, and it was very cool to just talk to them and hear what they say about the league and just their experiences, and hearing from them about it is just like, this is awesome. Like, this is the real stuff right here. This is not the movie. This is the actual people who played in this.
What's your favorite baseball movie of all time?
A League of Their Own is definitely up there. Rookie is definitely up there. Sandlot's definitely up there. I don't think I can pick just one. It's kind of hard to just be like, oh yeah, that's my favorite movie. I have actually really no idea what my favorite movie even could be. There's just so many great movies out there.
You mentioned A League of Their Own and how that, kind of maybe planted a seed for you. And I'm sure, a whole generation of women that wanted to play baseball, that was kind of like that motivating factor. But now that, you have the fantasy camps out there, you have people like yourself that are not only coaching baseball, but begin to incorporate into men's leagues. How do you feel about where the game is going with the opportunities that are available for women? And where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, it's grown, and I would love to see, somebody get drafted or someone make it to the major leagues. It's bound to happen eventually with all the stuff that's going on. It's just going to take, either the right person, but it's going to be just like kind of like Jackie Robinson. They're going to be the toughest kid on that ball field. It's just going to be, it's just going to happen. It has to eventually. And, I'm alive to see that. And, there was, a girl from France who was eligible to be drafted, but didn't get drafted. So, it's going to happen. It's leaning towards that way. And hopefully, it does happen, and it's just going to take the right person. And hopefully that person, is picked right, and hopefully they do it.
And when you mentioned that you think that person's going to have to be one of the toughest ones on the team, do you have to kind of be a little bit tougher just because of the lack of opportunities that you've had? Do you have to think you have to work harder than everybody else just to even play?
Yeah, you do. You definitely have to work harder. It's not. There's a different perspective from other people. If you look at any women's sport and you go and see, like, even if you go look at the Women's World Cup right now, and if you see a post about the women's soccer team, you'll find comments probably the second or third down that's degrading to women. And that's really hard on a person, especially if it's to you. Like, you'll see videos of some girl pitching, and then they have another video of the next shot of, Jose Bautista hitting a home run and flipping his bat. Like, that's hard to watch for us. It does bother us. Like, it's not, I'm not going to lie and say that it doesn't. But it's how we use that as motivation. That's how I do. Like, if anybody tells me I can't play, I'm like, all right, just come watch me. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you look at stats, if you look at anything, it's you're basing your thoughts on a gender, not about skill. And that's why they're gonna be hard-headed. Like, they can't let anything bug them, because that's gonna be a thing that's gonna come up. And it comes up now with even the pro players and the male pro players with males saying it. And just, it's gonna be a lot worse. And unfortunately, that's just how we have to deal with things, is because we know what's happening. And that's the saddest part about, women's sports, is what women have to deal with. and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I've seen, some videos you on social media, and I could say that you honestly work a heck of a lot harder than I ever did. And you're always hitting something. You're at the beach with the glove. I was like, I never worked that hard when I was playing. Jeez. And I think that, that in one way could be one of your competitive advantages, because you do have to work so much harder to prove to these people that you do belong.
Yeah, because we really do. It's your skill isn't really that much of a factor in it. It's more, proving people wrong. And skills can happen, and you can be naturally gifted in athleticism, but that's not going to matter. You need to prove people wrong.
Now, if there was, say, a room full of baseball players and they had no idea who you are, what's that message that you would like all male baseball players across the world to understand about women and women playing baseball? What's that one thing you want them to, all right, guys, shut your mouth, listen up. This is what I want you guys to hear.
I would just tell them before they think of anything is to come watch a game and see us play, because they can have their own thoughts about it. And, if they haven't seen you play, they don't know. So if they come see us play, that's all they need. And then they can make their thoughts from that.
Okay, that's very fair. Say there was a group of girls in front of you that, maybe they were a little bored or frustrated with softball. They wanted to give baseball a try. What would you say to these girls that want to pursue different avenues in baseball?
I mean, I would do anything that I can do for them. I'll take them under my wing and, teach them everything I know. As long as they want to play, I'm all for it. I do lessons with a couple girls that do play baseball, and they're at that age where it's like she's getting a lot of pressure. They're telling her to switch to softball. She doesn't want to switch to softball. She likes baseball. And I'm like, tell her to play baseball. That's what she wants to do. Don't force her into softball. And I've shown videos of all these series and stuff. I'm like, there's opportunities for her. Just wait a couple of years and she will be traveling across the country to go play baseball. And all the boys that are in her grade are just going to be very jealous of her.
What did you think of the London series?
Well, definitely do not want to play any more games in London anytime soon for the Red Sox. No, it was interesting. I've seen all these series happen in, Japan, Mexico, and, the Red Sox really haven't been a part of it. So it's kind of, cool to see the Red Sox and Yankees having a rivalry over in London. Like, that was the headline that they were using, same rivalry, new home, or old rivalry, new home. So, it was cool to see. I definitely did not want to go over there and watch it. Was glad that I stayed home and watched it on TV, because I would have been frustrated the whole time I was there. But no, I think it's great for baseball, and they're expanding, and it's just great.
Do you think that the globalization of the game can also lead to perhaps some more opportunities, even for women overseas?
I mean, so far, there's a Japanese league there. They're trying to make a league in Australia. And, I think the global kind of part to it, I think, USA is doing a really great job right now. But I think other countries more have it down. Like Japan definitely does. They have their own league. Like, if we got our own league, that would be awesome. And there would be so many people that would want to play in that league. And it's not like they will have a shortage of players. It's more, all right, how are we going to get fans to the games and stuff? But I know if we got a league, that would be, that would be pretty awesome. I mean, they do have a WNBA. So, it could happen. It could not happen, but I'm hoping that it does.
And you said attendance could be an issue. Is there any other things that you think would be holding that back right now?
I mean, even if you look at baseball right now, if you look at the Rays games, if you look at the Orioles games and a couple other teams, and their numbers are way down. So I don't know if that would help out or not help out, especially with how the league did when, the guys went off to war. It's not like the baseball players are going off to war right now. They're still here. So I don't know what's going on in the baseball world because of the numbers being low. So I don't know if it's just going to be an area that we have to go to start it and hopefully it expands, or if it's just that baseball is not what it used to be to people. And I don't know, it's almost like a dying sport right now, which is very hard to kind of hear and say.
What's kind of like the favorite on the field moment for you that you've had?
I think it has to be the first time I stepped on JetBlue and realized that I was playing baseball.
Just put on the uniform, all that kind of stuff?
Just the whole process of it. I mean, that was my first baseball uniform, was kind of like a Red Sox jersey for fantasy camp. And, it is a real jersey, and it's kind of what the players, get to wear, and putting that on and stepping out onto the field and saying, I'm playing here today. It's kind of like, I think, one of the best memories that I've had on the field. I know there's probably, winning a couple tournaments and stuff. But just the first experience, I think. And I don't know if other, baseball players maybe making their MLB debut or something. That's like the one that sticks in their memory. So, that was kind of like my baseball debut.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you having a chance to share your story, and hopefully see some more opportunities open up for you.
Yeah, me too.
All right. That was a fun conversation with Jacqui Reynolds. So interesting and inspiring to hear her story about how she has such a passion for the game and yet had every door closed and every opportunity just be shut down. And then to transitioning into finally finding a couple places where she can have that opportunity to get on the field, to show off her skill set, to prove that she belongs not only with women but with men too. And it's such an inspiring story and a wonderful human being. And if you'd like to check out more of her, you can go ahead on Instagram and give her a follow. Her screen name there is ReynoldsRap315. That's a fantastic screen name. Definitely check her out. You will be amazed at the work ethic that she puts out there. And, it's kind of that message to all of us that if we really want something and we really put in the effort, we're going to get the stuff that we want. And right now she's knocking down doors. She's making dreams come true. And she's, blazing that trail for others to follow behind her. So if you know of any girls, women that just have a passion for baseball or want the chance, go on and share this episode with them so that they too can begin to follow their dreams. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. So, let's kick it over to the Zambonis.